Well, hello there and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show and executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Well, for over 47 years, the Georgina Chamber of Commerce has been in existence. A lot has changed during that time, but one thing remains the same. Our organization is committed to developing, fostering, and promoting the business community in the town of Georgina. As a member-driven organization, we rely on businesses in the community. For our relevance, we rely on the businesses in our community and what they need in order to navigate their way through business and success and flourishing in Georgina. We also rely very heavily on our board of directors as a not-for-profit organization. And today I have the pleasure of sitting down and talking to 3 of our 11 board of directors, a little bit about the chamber, a little bit about what they do and why they got involved with the chamber. So let me introduce you to them now. First, let me introduce you to Jim Beachy. Jim is not only the owner of Beach Tree Marketing, but he wears many volunteer hats in this community, many. He's active in our community, and he's also a part of our board of directors as the past chair of our organization and the chair of the tourism committee. That's a long introduction for you, Jim, but welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you for being here.
Yep.
Great. We also have Ed Torres. Ed is the president of K Country 93.7 FM, and he is a part of our board as a director. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Jen. Great to be here. Thanks.
Great to have you here. And last but not least, we have Wei Hua. Wei is a broker with Century 21 Team Wei, and he is also the vice chair of our board of directors, and he is a part of, as Ed is a part of our marketing committee, and Wei is also a part of the finance committee as well. Wei, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to start with you, Wei. First of all, before we get into the chamber, obviously as an organization that works with businesses in our community, you are part of a business, you're a business owner, a broker of Century 21 Team Wei. So tell me a little bit about your career in real estate.
Yeah, for sure. I started my business, I was licensed in 2010, straight while I was in university. It honestly was a tough go. And then being the new blood in town, I moved to Keswick shortly after that. And so we decided, you know what, I need to be local. And in order for us to do that, I decided to purchase a building in Keswick in 2013. And it just slowly grew from there.
Slowly grew, but now you are a part of a team.
Yes, yeah. So I needed backup support. So I was working by myself and it was getting a little bit challenging. There's only so much time in a day. So in order to get more work done in the same amount of time, I needed backup. So that's why I decided to expand to a team setting as opposed to an individual.
Yeah. Now, certainly, since 2010, I think all businesses have seen certainly different degrees of whether it's the economy, things that are happening, and certainly the last couple of years has been completely an upheaval for local businesses, as I'm assuming the real estate market has seen all of those dips and dives and valleys and mountains.
Absolutely. And the way I see it is I always tell our agents that there's opportunities everywhere, up market, down market, there's always opportunities. And also I dabble in a little bit of everything in real estate. So I'm a landlord as well, commercial and residential. We do some construction as well on the side, mainly for our own projects. So we dabble a little bit of everything. So that keeps us afloat throughout the different cycles of the economy.
Well, it keeps you afloat, and it also keeps you understanding the needs of your customers and clients, right? Because they are going through those different renovations and leases and dealing with landlords as well.
Yes, for sure. And there is some challenges in the past where, especially when COVID hit, everything was crazy. The rental market, the home prices, everything was crazy. So there was times where, we can lend a helping hand and help everybody who needs that guidance throughout the whole craziness.
So you mentioned right off the top that you wanted, when you came into the community, you really wanted to be a local. And so you established in this community. There's a difference, though, between being a local and being someone who is actively involved and a local in this community. So you are invested in a lot of different community projects and charitable organizations. Tell me a little bit about why that's so important to you.
Absolutely. So to start, I think being the new blood in town, just be genuine. That was the first thing that I realized, just be honest, be transparent, be genuine, and people will slowly gravitate and know who you are and like you. So that was the starting point, to meet as many people as you can and help out whenever you can. I mean, at first, when I first moved to Keswick, I didn't have much. I didn't have much money. So all I had was time. So I offered as much time as I can to help out. A lot of people didn't realize I started off as a delivery boy for a Chinese restaurant. And it was a very humble beginning to start. Slowly, business grew slowly, but yeah, everything moved in the right path. And that's why I decided to get more involved in the Chamber of Commerce to help other business owners and lend a helping hand and guide them in the right direction, as well as communities, charitable organizations that, I mean, we're just so thankful to be in the position that we're in. Especially, that came to realization in the past 2.5 years that, there's been struggles for many businesses. And if we can help, that's where we decided, there's two charities that we love. And we just decided, let's give back as much as we can to the community that's been helping us so much.
You're allowed to give that shout out.
Yes, for sure. So the two charities that we love to support is first is Sandgate Women's Shelter. So we have our annual dance, which we couldn't do in the past 2.5 years, but we're coming back bigger and stronger this year for 2023. So Dance for Sandgate is a charity that we fundraise for the women's shelter, in our local women's shelter. The second charity we love to support is animals. I mean, everybody knows me, knows that I love my fur babies, my animals, and it's very heartwarming to see what they do to help and give the animals a second chance in life. It's just phenomenal.
Amazing. So hold that thought. I want to ask you a few more questions, a little bit about the chamber, but want to delve into our other guests as well. Ed, tell me a little bit about the industry that you are in and what led you to be a part of the community in Georgina.
Sure,
that's a loaded question.
Yeah, the industry I'm in is awesome. I mean, it's music and it's radio and it's local celebrity and it's local. What led me there was a career as a commercial pilot. And I know it's hard to connect the dots, but
I was just going to say it just makes sense.
Yeah. When I say we, my brother and I started Skywards, which is a company in 1991, which flew banners around around Toronto. So if you've ever seen any of those aerial banners flying at the Jays games or the Molson Indy, I was up there in the airplane. That was likely me or my brother Frank. We expanded that company because after 5 years as a commercial pilot, I ended up, as most commercial pilots do at the time, laid off. So fortunately, we had this business. I could go into it and never look back. I was recalled to go work in Vancouver as a first officer at Canadian Airlines, and I said no thanks. I was having more fun, a lot more success as an entrepreneur, making my own decisions. And from the flying the banners, we were looking down at the traffic every day, and the traffic reports on the radio didn't match what we were seeing from the sky. They were essentially faking it. And so we decided that we'd approach some radio stations and see if we could do their traffic reports. And that was successful. We started to add stations. We grew the company across the country. We had offices in Vancouver and in Edmonton, also in Montreal and Halifax. And then as consolidation happened in the radio industry, those contracts kind of dried up. The larger companies took control of their own reporting systems. And that's what led us to, my brother and I, to radio. We started a radio station in Ottawa in 2008. And we launched our station here in Keswick in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. So it's a long journey, but it's been a great one. I had no regrets.
No, and certainly as a fan of country music, I was very excited that was the genre of the radio station that was coming to town.
Yeah, I was with a client yesterday, loves country music, loves the station. And then I had three meetings, and the last one was at Elite Auto Recycling. And what a great business they've got there in Pefferlaw. And they were the exact opposite. They did not like country music, but when we came to town, they started listening to it, and now they're fans. And really, it's for them, it's about local information, local news, local weather, local traffic, and having local people in the community. It's been very important for us. Dan Pollard, who's our morning guy, lives in Jackson's Point. I moved to Sutton when we launched the radio station, and we're hiring. If we can find some local announcers, local salespeople, send us a resume. We're interested.
Very good. And it really is all about local. So certainly knowing the community, knowing what's happening, the events that are taking place. Why is that so important to you?
Well, you can get your country music on, one of those streaming services, which are owned by huge tech giants from the United States. They will go nameless for here at the station, but you can get your information from, a tech giant as well. But they're not going to drill down, and you're not going to talk to the mayor. You're never going to hear from the, executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. And also, local news, local traffic, local weather. That's one thing we provide, and we provide it throughout the day, but also local ads. One thing that's important, and a lot of people, traditional thinking about radio is that advertising is a bad thing, but I look at it from a different perspective. If I live in Georgina, I want to know when the fair is. I want to know, if there's a sale down at Sweet Pea. I want to know all of these things. They're important, and when I hear those in commercials, they're relevant to me, and that's why we need to be local, and that's why we support the chamber and we support local.
Well, and that was my next question. It's what I would like to think it was an obvious choice to become a part of the chamber, but what brought you to the Chamber of Commerce?
My wife really suggested that I find things to get me out of the house in the morning. So
that's an honest answer.
More quality time with her two rescue dogs. We'll have to get together. It's something that's been drilled into me by my business mentors. I've got great business mentors, and it's always about giving back. I was Rotary Club president in Etobicoke when we were based out of the Island Airport in Toronto. For me, it's about giving back. The more you give back, the more you get back.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. I agree. Hold that thought. I'm going to bring Jim into the conversation and find out a little bit about his involvement with the chamber. First of all, Jim, I know in speaking to you, you talk a lot about the work that you've done over the years and how it's led you to where you are today. So tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
My career is almost as old and as long as the chamber itself. It started about 45 years ago or so, but not here in Georgina, but that's how long I think I can break my career down into about 4 components. I started off in Kitchener, where I was born and raised and went to school. And I worked for a large consumer products company there and held a number of interesting positions there. And then I was lured away to work for some large multinationals. And that took me to Sarnia as a base, where I stayed for about 10, 12 years. But from there, I worked right throughout North America and did a fair bit of traveling. And then ultimately, I made a decision, that's about 25 years ago, to go on my own. And I created Beach Tree Marketing. And at that time, I was in Aurora, where I started the business and kept it going for about 10, 12 years. And then I ultimately got here to Georgina because my 2 daughters moved up here with their families. And I was spending more time on the road traveling between Aurora and Georgina, going to hockey games, soccer games, and that sort of thing. So it made sense that we come up here. So the fourth part of my career, I'm basically Beach Tree Marketing is kind of idle right now. It's more or less dormant. But the last 10 years or so, it's almost been full-time volunteering for a lot of community organizations. Obviously, the Chamber has been one. I think I've been involved with the Chamber since the day I arrived here, and as well as some others. I'll mention one by name, Community Futures, South Lake Community Futures, which is really near and dear to me. And it's actually almost a companion to the Chamber of Commerce. We both target the same audience, if you will. The other thing my career has done for me, it's being on my own with Beech Tree Marketing and others. I've held a lot of very interesting positions, everything from sales supervisors, sales managers, business managers, community affairs managers, which ties into some of the things I've been involved with, and government affairs, and even a lobbyist at one time. So I've done a real variety of things over my career, but it's been very interesting, very enjoyable.
And certainly they have led you into this volunteer world as well, because you really are, we heard from Wei and Ed, and that word local kept coming up and community kept coming up. It's the same for you. And that's what brings you back to volunteering for so many different roles in this community.
Yeah, well, volunteering to me is more than giving back. It's really contributing to the community. I think, if we left everything to the powers to be, to the political side of things or the governments, a lot of the things that we accomplish from a chamber, from a community futures or whatever, wouldn't get done. You need to have some people to roll up their sleeves and make them happen. And otherwise, we wouldn't have the services available to some of the community members that need them. So unless you're willing to give back or to put forward almost, that's the only way to do it in my estimation. And I've done this over the 45 years of my career. I've always been involved in something.
So you mentioned one of the first things you did when you moved to Georgina was become involved in the chamber. Why? Yep. Why that decision to do so?
Well, I was involved in ever since I went on my own as my own business, I've been very involved with the chamber. That probably goes back more than 20 years. And I just found the chamber, number one, a business asset for an entrepreneur, a one-off person. I've met some of the service providers I use, everything from an IT person to you name it, or if you needed a sign person or a printer, I found them through the chamber. So it made it a lot easier to make those connections. And obviously the good part was that any money you had to spend or invest was being spent back into the community.
Right. Right. And that was actually one of the, because I want to bring everybody into the conversation about why, not only why they've been a part of the chamber, because I think all of you have answered that, but really how has the chamber helped your business? And for you, Jim, it sounds like it's that networking piece, and it's really getting to know the local businesses and being able to use the local businesses that are close to your home and work.
Yes, that's correct. That's right.
Yeah.
And you made some good friends and some mentoring too. You're able to mentor people too. That's the other rewarding part of it, is that you occasionally get tapped on the shoulder and you ask a question. And that's really good.
Wei, really,
what is it for you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I was just going to say that being new to the community, one of the first events I went to was Mayor's Breakfast, and what a great way to meet everybody. I was introduced. I was greeted really, really warmly. Very welcomed. So it's a great place to connect with people. And then, quite frankly, when I heard the chamber step up and with that Support Local campaign, I thought, wow, we got to get behind that. The station needs to help. And we made a commitment with our station in Uxbridge, Hits 105.5 Hits FM, and this station to really take that on. So you'll hear our Support Local ads and Shop Local ads constantly, and that's all directly from the chamber.
Yeah, and I love those ads because it really speaks to no matter what time of year, it's important to shop local, but it speaks to especially now, and the idea of keeping your money in your community, which is one of the lines in those ads. So it really is breaking down a buzzword of shopping local and breaking it down into why people should be doing it. So yes, I love that you support that campaign. And as a chamber, obviously I support it even more. Wei, what about you? How has the chamber helped your business?
So beyond meeting people, for sure, as small business owner, we all face challenges. So being a part of the chamber, instead of just complaining behind the scenes, if there's an issue that you're facing in the trenches in the business, it's really voice with numbers. So when you meet other business owners, you realize, you know what, there are the positives, meeting great people, but at the same time, we can share with each other the challenges we're facing. And if it's an issue that's an ongoing issue that the chamber can help, I mean, it's happened in the past where we get everybody's concerns and we jot them down, and then let's see how we can get our voice heard through to the town and just get the problem solved. Otherwise, all we do is cry behind the scene. It's not going to help. It's not going to solve anything.
Right.
So it really comes down to voice with numbers.
It's that advocacy piece and that strength in
Absolutely.
numbers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Each of you as board members are involved in committees as part of the Chamber of Commerce. And I want to talk about the committees because you're able to kind of choose areas that speak to you or areas that are of interest to you. Obviously, Ed being a part of the marketing committee is a no-brainer in a business and in a sector that is all about marketing and spreading the word.
Yeah, it's rewarding to be on that committee and to be able to share my expertise, because it's been 30 years of working in advertising. First, as we mentioned, with those signs behind the airplane, which again, were outdoor, out of home, and certainly when you run a radio station, you run the gamut of advertising and promotion for the station itself. So, from our badged cars to billboards to transit advertising, we've done a lot of stuff, and we know what's effective, and we know what the right mix is. So being able to bring some of that expertise is great, but it also makes me reminds me not to take radio for granted, because when you're new in the community as a media. And I don't know, Jen, if Roger's found this, the business community doesn't really know how to use radio effectively because they've never had a radio station. They've got all these spill signals that come in from different markets like Toronto and Barrie, and they're really expensive. So it really helps being on that committee to just educate that we're local, we're reaching your people, and it's very efficient.
Yeah, I agree. It's letting people know that there are affordable options for spreading the word in our community.
Yeah.
Wei, you are no stranger to signs, but you are a part of the marketing committee and the finance committee. So what brought you to the marketing committee specifically?
So much fun. Being able to contribute some random ideas, I always have random thoughts in my head, and just to especially when you see things materialize, what's one of your random thoughts in the morning. I mean, it's just so much fun, and the people, we have a good laugh. I really encourage anybody who's looking to get involved or want to see their ideas come into fruition, get involved. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I know a lot of your ideas center around gathering and getting people together. And for a couple of years, we weren't able to do it. So it's really nice to now be able to start those gathering events again and be able to get out and see people and connect with people in the community.
Well, meeting people for me is crucial. It's so important, because when I first moved to town, my sign didn't have my picture on it, and people thought I was a female. So I mean, like, hey, I'm here I am. So to me, it was very important from day one to meet people, and just, hey, I speak the language too. So yeah, it's very important.
Jim, you talked about South Lake being near and dear to your heart. I also know that tourism is something that is near and dear to you, and you are the chair of our tourism committee. Why is it so important for this community?
Well, people don't think about it, but I've always been real passionate about economic development and bringing investment into the community. And to me, tourism is a really easy way to do that. If you can bring people in the community and spend money here with existing companies and enterprises, that really contributes to the economy. And as people see more revenue coming in, and sometimes the community itself can't sustain some businesses, you need external revenue. You see this at the provincial level, federal level, and we have to do that. And tourism is a very easy way to do it. And we have a great community to showcase. we've got a lot of great assets. And I think we should share them with people. We have the lake, we have everything else.
And now is our opportunity to kind of pitch that tourism committee, because I know you are, we are looking for members. You are actively involved in talking to people in the community. But I don't think businesses necessarily realize how the ripple effect of tourism and how it does affect their business. So they might not think that they are tourism centric, but they certainly are affected by tourism in this community.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, just about everybody, if anybody's got any kind of a retail or storefront, for sure. People don't think of, if you run a gas station, you don't think yourself being involved in tourism, but you certainly see in the summer, you see peaks in your revenue, and that's not from the locals. The locals are a constant. They'll deliver the same revenue. It's the people you bring in. And we've seen that during even the pandemic. We saw some retail stores, particularly in some of the more touristy areas, see a significant decline in revenue. And that's because the tourists weren't coming. So that was a real way of demonstrating it. And so I think that just about everybody that's interfaces with the public is in tourism, whether you think it or not, you are there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's always room on all of our committees for people to join and share their voice and offer their opinion at any time. Businesses and business owners can join. Only have about a minute left. I want to just kind of rapid fire through each of you. Jim, what is the best part about the chamber for you?
Well, I think it's the fellowship. It's rubbing shoulders with like people, and you learn from that. And it's also a way of contributing to the community as a whole. I don't regret a minute at a time I spent with the chamber over the years.
Yeah, very good. Ed, what about you?
The snacks when we have those meetings, when Hellier House brings the snacks, or those are great. But seriously, the best part of the chamber. Let me just do a quick pitch for non-chamber members. We spend a lot of money, as all of these the business owners on this panel do. Just by far the best investment that we make in ourselves. We're networking with business people. And, the chamber does so much good work behind the scenes. During that pandemic, Jen, you did such a super job of making sure that business owners were up to speed on all the latest changes, and they were happening daily. And you must have been going crazy because, there was changes in health regulations and health standards, and then there were changes in programs that the government was serving, and you were always there right up to the minute with the updates.
I hate to cut you off, but I have to. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on Mind Your Business.